There was a story that came out of the Australian news last week about a woman named Imogene. This otherwise unknown woman became famous, front page news, because she committed the act of polygamy. Y'all know what polygamy is? She married herself. I'm not making it up. It's true. She married herself. In this crazy and narcissistically tainted world we live in, there is no limit to what people will do these days. Now, the experts are trying to explain, the behavioral experts, trying to explain these things to us. But for me, their psychological explanations fall short of reality. I think there are other reasons. And one of those reasons is, not the only one, but I think a major one is that people worship idols. And idols are leading them to do things they would not otherwise do. Idolatry is a dangerous way to live. Look at the story today. Moses has brought the people of Israel out of Egypt. Now, these people have seen miracle after miracle after miracle, sign after sign of God's presence, right? So they finally get to Sinai. Now, this is after all the plagues in Egypt, after they've seen the Red Sea open up and drown Pharaoh's army, after God's provided them quail and manna in the wilderness, after they've seen water come out of a rock at Rephidim, after they've seen all these things happen, they've gathered at the foot of Mount Sinai, the holy mountain. And Moses has gone up there to be with God. And these people couldn't understand why Moses was gone so long. But God isn't an instant God. You don't push the button and out it comes. God expects you to spend time with him. And so Moses was up there. Days probably had turned into weeks. And this was the time God was preparing to give him the 10 Commandments. Well, the people got antsy. This is no good. We want something now. So they went to Aaron, the high priest, appointed by God. Make us some gods, little g, make us some gods. Aaron said, okay, give me your gold. So they took off their gold, their jewelry, gave it to him. He melted it, and he cast it into the shape of a calf. Now, calf was one of the gods, one of the many gods of Egypt. That was one of the ones they experienced there. And so when they saw it, they got all excited and said, this is the God that led you out of Egypt. And Aaron built an altar in front of it. And there was a great celebration. Oh, they gave the offering, sacrificed animals. And then they had a great party, an orgy. Corrupt, perverse. And God said to Moses, get back down that mountain. Please notice the words here in the scripture. Those people, your people that you brought out of Egypt, they're not God's people anymore. Notice the language. They've corrupted themselves, and I'm going to destroy them. Moses said, Lord, don't do that. Why do you want the world to say you brought them out of Egypt just to slaughter them? What kind of God will you be to the world then? And besides, you made a covenant with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. You don't really want to do that. These are your people. Moses turns it back. These are your people. And God relented of his anger. Well, I didn't read the rest of that, but I hope you'll go back and finish reading Exodus and you'll realize that God did punish them. He didn't destroy them. But there was a punishment, a plague that came upon the people. Idols always have a way of doing that. And so this scripture, this wonderful narrative, is really about the danger of idols. Idols just will not do. And there's some things about idols that I'd like to share with you to think about in our world, because ours is a world full of idols. Idols are anything or anyone we make an idol. Idols can be inanimate objects. Idols can be a golf club, a fishing boat, a baseball bat. Idols can be people. They can have flesh on them. Celebrities, athletes, politicians. We make idols out of anything. But idols will not do. So here's some things about those idols I want you to remember. First, idols are very alluring, but they call for your allegiance, your loyalty. You will give your life to them because you want that idol to give you purpose and meaning. And so you will follow that idol. What do you think that idol says? And if there's somebody out there that says what that means for you, you're going to follow them. A professor, a media person, whatever it is, you're going to go that way. It comes at a price. They're alluring. They're dangerous. Howard Hendricks, the Texas evangelist, once ate with a very wealthy man and his wife had supper with him. And he said to him, how is it that you've been around all this wealth, that you've escaped the snare of it and maintained your faith? And he said, my father said to me a long time ago, Howard, all of this for you is either a tool or an idol, whichever you make it. One, he said, will bring you great happiness. The other will destroy you. And I learned very quickly what he meant. If you let it become an idol, give your devotion to it, it becomes at a high, high price. Bruce Larson has an office in Manhattan, New York City. He's a devout Christian, and often people would come in and talk to him in his office about their faith, struggling with their faith. And Bruce always did this. He would take them on a little walk out of his office building, down the street. On one side of the street is the RCA building. If you go in there today, you'll see there's a statue right there in the entranceway of Atlas, from the Greek story, Atlas, who's holding the world on his shoulder, and he's struggling at the weight of the globe, trying to hold it, and he's crushing it. And then Bruce says, after we look at that and talk about Atlas, we walk across the street to St. Patrick's Cathedral, and we go up to the chancel, and there's a statue of the boy Jesus, 12 years old, holding the globe in his hand, like a tennis ball. And then he says, which one, Atlas or Christ, will you follow? One is an idol. But look what happens when the weight of the world's crushing. Can't do anything about it. The other one, he's got the whole world in his hands. The whole world. Idols are alluring. Yes, they certainly are. They know how to tempt. They know how to invite, entice, get into people's minds. But idols come at a price. Idols are destructive. They come to destroy. Oh, they may offer you pleasure. They may convince you this is the best way, the happy way. But they come with a price, and they're always destructive. God comes to deliver us from that, not let us be destroyed by it. He knows the danger of the idol. That's why in the Old Testament you have so many scriptures about don't worship idols, stay away from idols, leave those idols alone. Because God knows what they'll do. And God comes to deliver us from it. The problem is, we live in a culture and in a world where those idols come at us all hours of the day and night in so many ways, and they become a part of our life. We don't think God's present. Maybe God's retired. God's gone off somewhere, taking too much time. And so we want something here and now, tangible. We want a golden calf. Aaron, make us a calf. And they come to destroy. Hashimoto, who was a ruler of the Japanese, wanted to honor Buddha. And so he ordered a temple be built for Buddha. Grandest temple in Japan. And it was a beautiful place. It was spectacular. And they put this beautiful statue of Buddha in there. They had a great celebration planned for the day they were going to dedicate the temple. And the night before the dedication, the roof came in a brand new building and destroyed the statue of Buddha. And Hashimoto stood at the statue and kicked it with his feet and said, you couldn't even stop the roof from falling in on your own head. No, the idols cannot prevent the disaster that comes with it. They can't prevent it. And by the time people find out there is a disaster, most of the time it's terrible. The damage is done. And life is shattered. They come at extreme risk and danger. Henry Nouwen, great spiritualist of the middle part of the 20th century, tells a story, shares a story that comes from the Wisdom Tales of India about 4 brothers who went off in search of great wisdom. Years later, they came back together, and the first one said, you know, I can take a bone and put flesh on it. Second one said, if you can put flesh on it, I can put hair on it. Third one said, if you can put hair on it, I can give it limbs and a body. And the fourth one said, if you can do all of that, I can give it life and make it a living being. So they went off in search of a bone. And in the jungle, they found a bone. And the first one said, see, I can take this and put flesh on it, and he did. And the second one said, yes, and I can put hair on it, and he did. And the third one, he made limbs and a head, and it was a lion. And the fourth brother brought the lion to life, and the lion turned around and ate all four of them. And the moral of the story is, be careful of the idols. They will eat you up. Our arrogance makes us think we can control them. They control us. And idols do that. A lot of people thought it was a wonderful thing 60 years ago when Hugh Hefner mainstreamed pornography, when he brought pleasure out in the open and made it a lifestyle for everybody to see in the Playboy mansion. We got it out of the closet. We left the Elizabethan age. Everything's going to be great. People are going to be happy. Pleasure will be a good thing. But that idol of pleasure is the same culture that brought you a Harvey Weinstein. The same culture where over 300 teachers had been arrested, women teachers, in the last 10 years for molesting their students, over 500 male teachers in the same time. It's the same culture where rape has become commonplace. And we see so many things happening in our world today. It's that idol that's doing that to people. And we got people out there arguing. It's okay. They're writing articles and they're arguing. It doesn't, I've read some of the articles. It doesn't damage children to have sex with them. No, it destroys them. It's a lie. A pernicious lie of Satan. And it's because people have fallen for night. They always come to destroy. God comes to deliver us, to show us a better way, to respect life, to respect childhood, to respect people, to love one another as we love ourselves. Not let the idols lead us down that path, that nefarious path of destruction and death. The idols are alluring. They come to destroy. They'll let you down. Idols always let you down. Can't count on them. When the storms come, you can't count on an idol. And especially idols with skin on them. We see it mostly with the fall of television evangelists who are high profile, or with Hollywood moguls or politicians that fall, and all the lies and the stuff comes out that's been hidden and buried, and the lives are affected. Some years ago, probably about 20 years ago, I read a book a friend of mine loaned me. Said, you might be interested in this, and I started reading it. It was a story of a young man who was an exceptional student at American University in Washington, D.C. He was studying political science. He was able to finagle, he applied for, was interviewed, and because he was a bright young man, great personality, seemed to have his head on right, one of the leading senators in the United States Senate at that time, he's deceased now, brought him on for an internship. He did such an exceptional job and had a grasp for it, and everybody liked him so much, and they had an opening on his staff, that senator hired him when he graduated from American University. And he talks about those years, what it was like for the 10 years he worked for that senator. And he says in the book, it dawned on me when I was standing on a street corner one night, waiting to score drugs for that senator. It dawned on me when I would go to the airport to pick up his girlfriend, so he flew in to his various places that he kept for his love relationships, that this wasn't what I bargained for. This is not what I went into politics for. I don't understand. A man with so great ability, he said, and yet he's so human. You made him an idol, sir. You made him an idol. You expected him to be up there somewhere, and no human being can do that. We will all let each other down. When you put flesh on an idol, you're asking for trouble, because they will fail you. They always do. Watchman Nee was a Chinese evangelist, and he went to this one place in China as a group of people there that he really wanted to evangelize. He took some Chinese converts with him because they could relate. Only they discovered that everybody in this village worshipped an idol called the Ta Wang. We don't need your God, they said. We have the Ta Wang. Well, one of those recent converts said to him, when is the festival for Ta Wang? Why, it's January the 8th. Great celebration. We have a parade. And that young Christian convert looked at him and said, it'll rain that day. Oh no, the Ta Wang will never let it rain. It'll be beautiful and sunny. It'll be a spectacular day. January the 8th came and it was pouring rain. The time of the festival was 12 noon. It wasn't raining that morning, but by 12 noon it was falling a flood. And the people were disappointed. Tai Wang, you promised us, but it didn't. And you know, 2/3 of that village converted to the faith because the idol failed and they were devastated. And here was somebody offering hope. Idols will let you down. God never, ever will. We live in a world today full of idols. Idols just will not do. Idols can't give you hope. Idols can't give you real purpose and meaning in your life. They fake it. They make you think they can, and then falls apart like a house of cards. No, there's only one place, and that is in the heart of God, because God offers us real hope, real meaning, real purpose for our life, real identity as children of God, as servants, as Christians, as fellow laborers in the kingdom. Only God can offer that which is eternal, and that's a relationship that will never, ever end. The idol will, but God will never leave you nor forsake you. Never, ever. No, idols just will not do. Only God can touch the deepest need of the human heart and life that all of us have. Show me an idol that can do that. I know, you can't. There isn't one. And so you and I will pick up the newspaper or turn on the news and see more stories and shake our heads in wonder. But we know it's the idols. Let's offer the world something better. The one true and living God. Because idols just will not do. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.